if there's one thing I've really noticed about whatever phase of my life this is, retirement, semi-retirement, lengthy space between jobs, I don't know, is I'm noticing my age more. I think when I was working, I knew I was getting older. I felt I was getting older. I sometimes had verbal reminders, but, I was active. I was working. I was doing stuff. I was accomplishing things. I was bringing home a check. So, I didn't notice it as much. And I almost feel like it's interesting. If you see a house or a car that gets parked for a while or left alone, left unlived in for a while, and it starts all on its own, just by weathering or whatever, but it's inactivity and not having, any life involved in it, it starts to run down. And I kind of feel that. I'm fighting back on it. I know there's the whole other life of retirement, and I'm getting more into that. But for a while there, it was just, what do I do? What am I about? And there was so much of that, and not really any life to it, that I was noticing the age. My body was feeling it, and I didn't have the outlet of work anymore to say, I've got to go do this stuff. And, you feel it. So, it's interesting how I've noticed more and more, things I didn't think were important, but are getting important to me. And, I never cared for labels before, and I still don't like labels, but it's like being called a boomer. Where did that come from? Who came up with that? If I'd been in middle school or high school and somebody called me a boomer, I probably would have thought, that's a pretty cool name. That's got a great vibe. That's powerful. Now I'm a joke, okay, boomer. You get that online and they say it, and it's dismissive. It's like when your parents used to say, to get you out of the way, all right, go out and play, go play. And it was just to get you out of the house. Well, they want you to go now. They're saying the same thing, but they don't want you to come back. You're not important anymore. Okay, boomer, we're not listening to you. We're not, you have nothing important to say. So, I found that interesting because our generation, I think we listened to the older generation and we respected that. I don't think there's very much of that anymore. It's like they know everything. And sure, they can program their phone in 2.8 seconds, and it might take us a little while. They can do other things, online. They can snap photos quicker. They can, they know how to take a selfie. And I know how to take a selfie, but it's never right. No. It's got to be this way. I've got 3 daughters, so trust me, I know how this goes. They think we're in a way. It's not incompetent, but we're not. As we get older, if we're a boomer, we're kind of useless, or at least useless to them. That's something about being older. Suddenly I'm a label. I'm a boomer. I'm an old guy. Curious. Very curious. But with this older age, I am finding things that I never thought I would more important. A couch or a chair that's easy to get out of. It can't be too low. I can't sink my butt all the way down to the floor. You're going to have to come and pull me out of it. Maybe get a, chain and winch or something. I don't want to sink down too low. I want a good resting spot that I can grab an arm of the chair or couch and pull myself up. That's become important, You think about your knees a lot. You know, sometimes when I'm carrying something down the stairs, I walk sideways. Used to, I'd bound up and down the stairs, you know, just like the younger person I was. And now you know, I don't want to fall. You worry about those kind of things, and it's natural. I knew other people did it. I knew it would come one day. And now I feel it, and it's an interesting feeling. You know, you walk a little more careful on something you think is slick. You don't want to break anything. And I'm not to the point I'm worried about brittle bones, but I think even just a fall and not breaking anything would probably lay me up for a bit. So, you know, there's things you think about as you're older. Funny things that are important to me now. My Aldi's quarter. If you know, you know. It's, you know, in both vehicles, we've got a little change container in our console, and heaven forbid that Aldi's quarter disappears. It's, you know, oh no, what am I going to do? Because you've got to have that to get your cart. If you don't have an Aldi's in your area, you may not understand this, but you know, you go to Aldi's and you put your quarter in to get your cart. And I think I would probably use my debit card for a 23-cent transaction at a drive-through. Not that there's anything that's 23 cents, but I would do that before I would use my quarter, because I never know when I'm going to need to stop at Aldi's and grab something. It's just something I never thought I would be worried about, and here I am. It's a thing. I never thought I would turn around and drive home 5-10 miles to get my cell phone. I would do that. I don't want to leave the house without getting my cell phone. It's for a lot of reasons. One, most importantly, so that my family can reach me if they have an emergency. I'm very worried about that. You know, my wife drives all the time for work. My daughters are out doing things. I want to be there, but also for myself if I have, you know, car trouble or whatever. You know, when I was a kid, nothing like that. You didn't worry about that. I didn't have a cell phone till, you know, I was in my 30s, and you didn't think about it. I had my car break down, you know, many times on the side of the road, and it was like, oh, somebody will come along. You didn't worry about it. Now it's like everybody, you know, we've watched too many detective shows and heard too many podcasts, and everybody's a serial killer. If you break down on the side of the interstate and you don't have a cell phone to call AAA or somebody, you're going to get murdered. It's pretty much a fact. But back in the day, no, we didn't worry about that kind of thing. We didn't worry about it. We didn't know about cell phones. Who could imagine carrying a phone around in your pocket? I mean, phones were bigger than a loaf of bread. You had, you know, it always had a line to it. You couldn't have a private conversation when you were a kid. It's always tied to that. If you had to, you could maybe drag it into the bathroom, and then you had that weird echo. You know, you couldn't have a private conversation, but just to carry a phone around, nobody knows how, now. If you never experienced that, you don't know how lucky you are. And we're spoiled by it. You know, I would turn around and drive home 10 miles to get my phone because I feel like I've got to have it all the time. Never thought that would be important to me. I didn't think it would be important to have my favorite cup. You know, I go over to make a cup of coffee in the morning, and yeah, by midday I put it in this so that if I go drive or whatever, I can go do it. But you know, in the mornings I'm drinking it out of a regular cup, and we've probably got 30 cups in the cabinet, and I use at most 2. One is my favorite cup, and the other is the backup cup that I use if the other one is in the dishwasher, which I try not to do. I try to just wash it by hand, so I've always got access. Yeah, is that just old man stuff? I don't know. I just feel better drinking. It just feels right, and when I'm holding it. I feel like I'm really crossing some lines here from, oh, you're having therapy because you were, laid off, to you might really have some problems. So I guess this is what a lot of this retirement stuff is. Thinking about the past, thinking about how things have changed, thinking about how you're getting older, feeling how you're getting older. It's a lot to get used to. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just different, and making adjustments, and trying to figure it out. So I'm going to go think some more about my Aldi's quarter, I guess. I don't know. Thanks for reminiscing with me, and let me know things that have changed for you. I'll probably have some more later, because it's weird things just pop into my head sometimes, because now I've got time to think. I'm not concentrating on work. I'm not having to answer to anybody, except my wife. I answer to her. But what is it that is important, to you now, or that you didn't think about before, that's just a part of life, and you just maybe not important, but it's something you like or helps you or whatever. So have a good day, have a good weekend, and take care of yourself.